underneath the stage. So we turned the music off and it seemed to quiet down. We have some good Samaritans trying to crawl underneath. If we can get through the show without a meow, 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 I will be happy.
Oh, yes, kittens.
You found the kitty? Oh no! There's baby kittens. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was the mother. Oh no. That's what's going on. Oh boy. Okay, I'll tell you
There's 3
what.
black cats out there.
Well, the mother will pick it up and take it somewhere else because I've seen mom cats do that. That's what happened. Oh my gosh! That is the most amazing thing. Wow! Ladies and gentlemen, the first story of the night is the kittens that were born underneath the stage in the theater. So hopefully they become theater cats. You're going to take them home and feed them? My daughter would too, but she's homesick right
No,
now.
I know. I can take them and then I will bring them somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't want them to get hurt or anything.
Okay, so let's cover them over there.
Take them to Valley Animal.
Yeah, I'll be sure to take them somewhere.
Okay. Oh my goodness, good Samaritans around here. Anyway, so on May 3rd, 2025, we had 6 kittens born under the stage. We put it right out the door. Go right out the door. You could put a cover on them if you want. Okay, the cat that got caught in here had the babies in one of the cases that goes to one of our mixers. So that was the sound. Okay.
Dibs on the cat story.
Yeah. Okay, put me down as number 1. No, that's okay. So thank you for coming. This is our first story slam. It's been done all over the world. I believe England started because they seem to start things. And it's done in Australia, done in Canada, New York City, San Francisco, Seattle, Los Angeles. I discovered this in Monterey, so they do it in Monterey, and now Hanford. So yay! We're on the curve here. Okay, so we're going to start right away. So if you can see right there, those are the contestants. You have a piece of paper. You can put your top 3, and if you are a storyteller, you can put yourself number 1. We don't mind. We don't mind. And we'll start right now with Gerald. Gerald, come on up, Gerald.
I need this chair. I have a little problem with some nerve problems in my feet. All right. So I need this chair. Is this thing on?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm Gerald Slayton, and about 4 or 5 years ago, I joined a class, a creative writing class, and we meet at the Remington every Tuesday from 10 to 11. I see a couple of ladies here that are from our class, and I have written a lot of stories over the past several years, and I like to title all my stories, and I titled this one "Pheasant Under Glass." Okay, I'm not really a hunter. Shot at a few rabbits and squirrels and things like that with .22. I don't think I ever hit any of them. But anyway, my brother was a very avid hunter. And he wanted to go one day, he mentioned he wanted to go pheasant hunting. So I told him, well, my father-in-law has a farm in the Carruthers area and got all kinds of birds and critters out there. I says, we'll go over and try it. And so he come over one Saturday morning, picked me up, and off to Carruthers we went. Now, I didn't own a shotgun, so I borrowed my brother-in-law's shotgun, It was a Remington pump, real old one. It was very heavy and it had a hair trigger. And so off to Carruthers we went. And so we got as far as Excelsior and Highway 41. And we stopped at a alfalfa field. Well, that's a good place for pheasants. So we got out, we loaded the guns, and we walked up and down in this alfalfa field. And we didn't scare up any birds. So we come back to the truck. I got in the truck. My brother says, put the safety on the gun. So this particular pump shotgun, you know, when you pump the shell in it, it cocks the weapon. And then to put the safety on it, you have to release the hammer down halfway, and then that locks the trigger. So I was sitting there in the truck with a shotgun between my legs, and I attempted to put the hammer back down. Well, guess what? The gun fired, discharged, blam. It just scared me to death. My brother hollered a bunch of words I can't say here. He wasn't too happy. It scared me to death. Truck filled up with smoke. And so we got out and check it out. And the smoke was still coming out of the truck, and a highway patrolman comes up behind me. And I'm going, oh no, boy, I'm done now. And so highway patrolman gets out of his car, and he says, are you having trouble with your vehicle? And I, scared out of my wits, thinking fast, I said, no, I thought we were having problems, but everything's all right now. And he said, fine, then have a nice day. And he turned around, got back in his patrol car, and drove off. Much to my surprise, I was just glad. If he had known that I discharged a weapon inside a vehicle, I'd probably still be in jail. Anyway, my brother and I talked about it, and we decided to go on to Carruthers. Well, as we took off down Highway 41 towards Carruthers, the pickup was running kind of rough. I wonder why. Probably because I just shot it. And anyway, we made it to Carruthers, to my father-in-law's house. My brother got out, checked under the hood. He found out when the blast went through the firewall, the pellets hit the valve cover and scattered throughout the whole engine. Well, it hit some wiring on the distributor, and that's what was causing it to miss. So he went into Carruthers and he got the stuff to fix it. And needless to say, our pheasant hunting was over for the day. For me, it was over for good. I give my brother-in-law's shotgun back to him, and I never borrowed it again. You know, my taste for pheasant under glass wasn't fulfilled, but hey, I went pheasant hunting. Instead of bagging a pheasant, I bagged a pickup. Oh, but it wasn't over. My brother took that empty shell, stuck it in the firewall, stuck it in the hole in the firewall, and took great delight in showing and telling everybody he knew what I had done. And it took me several years to live that one down. And by the way, I haven't touched a shotgun since. That's it.
Good job, Gerald. Good job. We have a chair here if you need a chair. We can put it right here.
Okay, all right.
That was Gerald. And the title of your little story was Pheasant in the Glass?
Pheasant under glass.
Pheasant under glass. Good job. Okay, so you have little papers. You can put your first, second, and third choice, but we do have some other people who would like to share a story. And again, we're just having fun here. We're going to pick the story that kind of piqued our interest the most. All stories are awesome because a story is a story. And if it takes you somewhere in your imagination as a listener, then they've accomplished their goal. Okay, and that's number one on the list. We have Jeannie. Jeannie would like to come up. Oh, already ready. And this goes up and down if you need it, or you can take it off. You're welcome.
Is that good?
Let's try it.
Is that good? Can you hear?
It's a small theater.
Well, my story is about my personal miracle, my personal journey, and it goes like this. I frequently think about death, the unspoken elephant in the room, that we are all going to die. Most people ignore it and focus on the day-to-day of life. But sometimes they have to confront it when they get a diagnosis or lose a loved one. I was born with a birth defect to the right side of my heart. I had my first heart surgery at age 5. My life has been full of reminders of my mortality. I always believed in God, at first because that's what I was taught as a child, but later because I could see the order and purpose in things. I have many things to be grateful for. I've never been hungry or without a safe place to live. I've never been neglected or abused. I grew up in a small town with a 2-parent middle-class family who loved me, and I've always had everything I needed. But when I was a teen, I rebelled against my parents and squandered a couple of years doing whatever I wanted. I brought hurt and shame on myself and my family and disrespected that God graciously gave me all those good things. And though I later repented and turned away from those things that were obviously destructive and bad, I never really properly confessed. I understood that I did was wrong, but I never really owned it. I threw them all in a bag and thanked God for forgiving me. I couldn't see that I was still a hypocrite, and I was selfish and full of pride. Heart failure at 47 years old took me by surprise. Every arrhythmia attack came with the threat of sudden cardiac death. I suppose it's not such a bad way to go. It would be quick and painless. There's no struggle when your heart stops. You just lose consciousness. You see the tunnel of light before you die. I've seen the tunnel, but I came back. I had surgery at Stanford, and that bought me a little more time. I kind of felt like my soul was on the line, so I didn't want to believe just because someone told me what to believe. I wanted to believe for myself. I needed to confirm, where the scriptures came from. Was it faithfully transmitted? Were the things I was basing my truth on? I amassed a library of Bibles and translations and concordances in the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Apocrypha, the ancient writings. I studied as much as a non-scholar can until I was satisfied that I had found the source of truth, which I could compare things. Even though I found that the Bible is it's a collection of books, over 40 authors, over 2,000 years, but there's this thread running through it that binds the whole thing into one cohesive message. And only if you're diligent will you find that. In 22, I had another major cardiac event, and I remember thinking, this is it. It's happening now. God has the right to take me anytime. When am I going to hear, well done? We put a lot away for our retirement, but how much had I put away for my eternal retirement? I was cardioverted twice in the ambulance. The Apple Watch recorded 0 beats per minute. I really dangled my toes off the edge of eternity that time, which is a powerful motivator for taking a spiritual journey. With another surgery under my belt, next I figured I'd start looking at the doctrines. I held them up to the light of Scripture to see what was true. It's been 2,000 years, and there's a plethora of doctrines, and so we had a lot to compare. And as I was comparing the doctrines to the Scriptures, I started judging the people who held the doctrines that didn't fit the Scriptures, pointing my finger and saying, how can they believe that when this is what it says? And this is where my story takes a very dark turn. Okay. There's this verse that says, many are going to say, Lord, Lord, he's going to say, I never knew you. Not I knew you and you fell away, but I never knew you. Who are they? They do many mighty works in his name. I was pointing my finger in many different places, many different groups, trying to find those people. Who are the ones who are going to say, Lord, Lord? And when I finally turned the question on myself, and I prayed a prayer that was full of pride, it meant something like, Lord, show me my sins so that I can stop doing the things that displease you. The Lord answered my prayer in the most profound way, and I don't care if you believe me or not, but it was like seeing a memory, like the face of Jesus as he was in agony on the cross dying. That is what my sin looked like. That is what it cost him. And that's a picture of just how much he loves me. I finally saw myself as the prideful, selfish hypocrite that I was. I finally humbled myself, and he gave me grace and peace. And as my heart was being cleansed, it was also being healed. In October of 23, after the running tests, my cardiologist had told me your tricuspid valve's failing, you need another surgery to have it replaced. And this cleansing happened just days before the pre-surgery MRI. When they got the results from the MRI, my doctor was shocked. He said, your heart function has never been better. And this was confirmed by an MRI and 2 echocardiograms at Stanford. Now I love to tell my story to meeting new people and hearing about what they believe. And one of the most insightful things I heard was from an atheist friend who, after I shared with him my story of my spiritual journey, he said to me, you must have brought the faith with you when you started the journey. And I gave that some thought. I said, you know what, he's right. You have to at least have a seed of faith or you'll never even take the journey. Nobody would sincerely look for something if they don't believe there's something to be found. Well, I searched, I found forgiveness, peace, and healing. This is my story, my miracle, and my journey. Thank you for listening.
Gee, that's a great story. Do you have a title for it?
My miracle?
Well, My Miracle, Heart Story? We can think of some titles. Beautiful. Thank you for bringing that story to us. Okay, so let's go to Don. Don. Yeah, you, Don. We kind of forced Don into it.
Okay.
Yeah. We said there's an 84-year-old. You've got to go up here because you're a
Okay.
little bit older.
Wonder why we got the cats on.
Yeah, me too, because they were getting loud. Okay. Do you want this lower? Do you want to hold it?
No, that's no. I can. It'll give me incentive to stand up to it.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's see. Let me and just for the rest of you, this if you squeeze this, it'll go up or down. Okay. There you go. All right. There you go.
All right. Well, she asked me a long time ago if I knew a lot of stories. I said, yeah, but they're not nice. And I said, they've got words in them I wouldn't repeat to anybody else, even somebody that liked them. But I have one with Sylvester Stallone that I was picked to do a part in a movie called Get Harry. And he was always, well, kind of in between the gangsters and the good guys. And he was always getting money from somebody and having to turn it into someone else. And he couldn't say who it was and all this. It got really confusing. In a scene where he is coming through a hotel lobby and he's got his briefcase and he's all dressed up in his suit and his tie. He's looking pretty sharp. And there was a girl that was an extra like myself that was in the shot that we couldn't say anything, but we had to look like we were talking to each other, so we just sort of we're doing like this. So he goofed up his scene. He forgot to pick something up for his briefcase, so he goes back and he gets that done. He never knew his shot. Pretty soon he's yelling, "Cut! Back to one. We're gonna do this shot again. You didn't do this or you didn't do that. Whatever." For several times. So, being myself, my usual self, I got myself into trouble. And I made a remark to him, "Shit, can't even remember his lines." And he heard it. So I came over and he addressed me quite rudely and harshly. And I thought, wow, he's a wise little guy, isn't he? I don't think I like him too much. But the next day I don't have to do a scene with him, I don't have to talk with him. I've got a girl here that we can work with, we can get our own little thing going. We can do this, because I'm getting paid for it, so we're like that. Goes back, well, he started over again for I don't know how many times. It was quite a few. One thing or other, the lighting wasn't right, or he wasn't this wasn't sitting proper, wasn't in the proper place, because you gotta run into it when you run across and down the hole. So, in one of those times, the girl who had to leave the room or something, so she asked somebody, one of the ADs, she says, do you mind if I go over to the restroom or this or that, wherever she went there? And he said, no, I said, go ahead, he said, we're gonna start in about 10 minutes. Well, it wasn't 10 minutes, being the usual guy that he is, and really friendly and all that. Actually, he's not dead, he's held working. Okay, once your place is the L, time we recorded out or whatever it was, going for shot 66 or whatever it was, remember. So we're all in place. Camera, action. Harry comes across the end and he turns around and sees that this girl is not what she's supposed to be. And I'm standing like from here to where you are, right in front of him. And he looks right at me, but he's talking to the AD. Where the hell did she go? And I thought he was talking to me. And I go, what? I said, she went back that way. Nobody talks to me, sir, that's just the only way he's working. Nobody talks when they got there, no lines to say, you hear that? And I said, well then don't look at me when you're talking to somebody else. Dumbbell. That was just the wrong thing to say. Anyway, he said, I want him off. He said, he'll never work again. And I said, well, I don't care, but I said, you're wrong here. I'm going to be working. I'm just not going to work with you. So, as the story ended, I would call it how to yell at a superstar and get hired for a job again. Because about 6 months to a year later, he was doing another one in Las Vegas at one of the other hotels. I was on a list of people that he wanted to come back.
Gerald, Jeannie, and Don. All right, that was Don. Good job, Don. Very, very nice. Okay, I'll tell my story. One day there was a cat that came into the theater. All right, now Tom. Tom, you're next. All right,
Okay.
this is Tom, everybody.
Okay, we had a gentleman who spoke about hunting.
Okay.
Does anybody like fishing? I do. And one of the best places in the world to go fishing is Alaska, okay? But everybody knows when you go fishing in Alaska, there's critters around. And one of the creatures that frequents the rivers of Alaska, especially in salmon season, are bears. And so bears are not exactly, you know, we had a young boy in here. How old is he? Is he gone? Anyway, there's no bear families. I don't know if you realize that, but I actually wrote my biology thesis paper on bears, and bears are not families. The male adult bears, they are not very nice guys. They're kind of hitmen. You know, that's what they do. The nature programs them to do a couple of things: eat and do things with the women bears. So that's all they do, and that's all they think about. But the river that I'm going to talk about is in a national park, and the bears that are in this area, they kind of know that they're okay. They know they're kind of safe there, and so you can't. People think, well, I'll just carry a gun. Well, that's not always the wisest thing to do with bears anyway. But you have to really prove that your life is threatened if you discharge a weapon against a bear in this part of Alaska. You better have a really good reason, or you're in a whole lot of trouble. Anyway, so one of the great things about Alaska is the fishing. And if you go at the right time of the year, it's not as so much fishing as it is catching. So you get so caught up in the fishing, the action of the fishing, that you are catching fish, that you kind of fish yourself. It's called, one of Alaska writers said, it's called fishing yourself into oblivion. You just start catching so many fish, you land them, and when the run is really good, you can tell when it's a small one, you just want to jerk it, come on, get in here, so you can get a bigger one. Well, we were having one of those days. I've had two other guys with me, and I was kind of the guy. I don't know if you would call me the guide, but I kind of knew the river. I ran the boat. I knew where the biggest rocks were, and so on and so forth. But anyway, I was up by the boat, and they're down by the downstream from me, and everybody's hooting and hollering, you know, hooking fish and that. And I think I had just landed when I was kind of taking a break, and we got all these fish on a stringer. These are kind of sitting in the water, and you know what happens, what inevitably happens is Boo Boo shows up. So they're out in the river, and the bears, again, they're not afraid of you. This area, they get kind of a little bit used to people, and he just starts walking up the bank. And he is walking up the bank. And, you know, the sound of these rivers is very loud. The water's rushing, and you could start yelling at them. And I began yelling, hey, bear. Well, in Alaska, what you learn is the universal sign for bear. Does anybody have any idea? It's not, oh, cute. That's bear. That's bear. So I'm standing up there going, like that. And then there's tell Tom, oh, what's he doing? Is he stretching out? Finally, back, yeah, bear, you know. And you know, people say, you know, you're not supposed to run from a bear. And then, I won't run. I'll be sick. No, they ran. They run. So I grabbed the fish. I threw them on at the same time. You know, these boat motors aren't the most reliable, but for some reason it's just started up right away. Get in, and the bears just relentlessly walking right up at them, you know, and they're just, finally they get in the boat, we get it running, back right out, walk right on by. This same spot, I had another adventure with a bear where I was fishing. I had fish on the bank, and this bear, I could see him coming, and he's coming downstream, and he just keeps coming at me, and he's getting closer and closer. I'm like, oh no, don't get out. And he's riding the current on his back like he's in a chair. He's just like this, and he looks over like, looking at me. He looks at the fish. He's looking at me. His head's like a freaking basketball, 2 basketballs. I'm like, oh no, don't get out. He keeps going by and just going riding in his chair through the rapid. And he goes and swims to the other side of the river and gets out. I was just so relieved.
Okay, okay, that was Tom. Does everybody have a little score sheet here? Everybody have one? Little pen, a score sheet. Okay, and you can pick yourself. You can. You know, there's 3 choices. You can put yourself in. All right. All right, Martha. We have Martha. Martha's a little shorter, right here, right there. Does that work? But you can move this anyway. Let's give what Martha has.
This is called Happy Travels. So I boarded a 30-minute late train from here in Hanford heading to the Union Station in LA. Wasn't worried because trains make up time, buses make up time, right? So in Bakersfield, you have to get on a bus to take you the rest of the way to LA. So the bus only leaves 10 minutes late. Great. You know, made up some time. Smooth sailing on the grapevine until I hear a whooshing noise coming from the front of the bus. Nothing really happens. Bus driver keeps going. Then it happens again. Bus driver pulls over, messes with something at the front, gets in, takes off again, makes a phone call. Then it happens a third time. And I notice that she's yelling at a passenger who is at the very front seat, leaning over the rail, trying to hold the door closed. And at this point I realize the door's been opening. And that's what the rumor is, because the bus driver didn't make any sort of announcement, but we figured the door's opening. That's that wind, that whooshing noise. So the door had been opening on this ride. So we pull over, guy gets, off from behind the rail. Bus driver makes no announcement until maybe 10 minutes later when they tell us to gather our things and exit the bus into the first light rain of the season. So we go onto another bus that had left Bakersfield at the same time as our bus. So we load onto this bus to some unhappy passengers who have to make room for us, right? The bus driver's not too happy either. So we take off, a little less comfortable, no big deal. Still, didn't waste too much time, so I'm okay. We are near Pyramid Lake now. I'm like, okay, almost there. I noticed the traffic going north was scarce, very rare. Turns out that what was now the first storm of the season had caused a horrible accident, blocking traffic in both directions. So we have to get off, go back north, and reroute east in order to go back south. So there's a lot of traffic. There is a storm, and for the first time now, I'm starting to think that maybe, perhaps, possibly 4 extra hours wasn't enough to make it to my flight, because that's where I'm headed, to a flight. So I get to the Union Station, finally, only after stop, after stop, after stop, after stop. My bus, my original bus, was supposed to go directly to the Union Station. This other bus actually had several stops to make, which, much to the surprise of the original bus riders, we didn't know. There were no announcements. So we had no idea how long, when people were getting frustrated. People were yelling at the bus driver. Passengers were yelling back at the other passengers because they were yelling at the bus driver. So there was chaos in this bus. Imagine, first from Bakersfield, then to the Grapevine, then making a quick pit stop, then again to Lancaster, and all these stops. So I'm finally at the Union Station. My brother had been texting me the whole time, and he said, this is where you have to go. So I already had directions. I rush over, which of course, the flyaway that runs every 30 minutes is clear across the buses from the Amtrak buses. So I rush over. I have 15 minutes to go for the next one. Okay, at least I didn't miss it by, 5 minutes. So I freshen up, talk to my brother, and he says, you know what, it's okay. As long as the shuttle's on time and there isn't a lot of traffic, you're gonna make it. I'm like, okay, great. Shuttle was on time, traffic was so-so, and what had been up to constant communication with my brother just all of a sudden stopped after I answered his question. Which terminal are you flying out of? And I quickly realized why. So, the shuttle gets to LAX. There's a terminal, then another, some more, then the international terminal, then some construction, then some more terminals, and then we land at the very last terminal. That's me. So, by this time, I'm pushing it. So I rush in, and I hear my name being called in the airport. And I rush to the counter, and I say, that's me from the announcements. What can I do? And they say, hurry up, get through security upstairs. So I rush up, and I go to the wrong line because I thought I was already checked in, which I wasn't. I was in a state of panic. I wasn't. They send me back to the long security line, and I'm yelling, I'm gonna miss my flight! And people let me go. I get all the way up to the security guards in front of the x-ray machine, and my name is once again called. And I tell them, that's me, what can I do? And they said, well, you still have to go through x-ray, maybe the people will let you through. They do, they're very nice, they do. I hurry up, get my shoes back on, and take off in a run as best as I can. I had just turned 40. I have a soccer player body. I played soccer for way longer than I should have. My knees were hurting. I ran as best I could. Past one gate, another, some bathrooms, bookstore, little bookstore, gift shop, restaurants, bars, more gates. I was at the very, very end. And I noticed that there's a very, very empty waiting room where my gate is. But I see a lady and her child at the counter, and I'm hoping they're the last ones on my flight. I rush up and I say, "I'm Martha, that was my flight, this is my gate," and she says, "I'm sorry, the gate is closed." I asked for kicks and giggles, "How long?" And she said, "No more than 10 minutes. And I yelled a word. I apologized to the kid and mom because I couldn't control at that point. I was in such a rattled state. I profusely apologized. I said, "I will be back." I came back and the employee was gracious enough to give me a flight for the next night, no extra charge. Someone on the shuttle who had been on my bus was so upset on the shuttle because he had to pay extra for his flight that he had already missed. So I was very lucky for that. Turns out my brother's in the area because his car had broken down and he happened to be stuck in the area, so he was able to catch me. I was so grateful for that, how that worked out. I take off the next night and I wish I could say it was smooth sailing. When I arrived in Nashville, which is just a one-night stay before I go to Fort Campbell, Kentucky to visit my best friend whose husband is in the Army, I land at the airport, cannot get out of the airport. Me and a bunch of other people. Our phones are not working. There's no service. We can't get a ride share. It's too late for any hotel shuttles. And I'm constantly getting kicked out of the drive share apps. Taxis won't take me because my hotel is too close to the airport. Because they would have to charge me extra. I'm like, "That's fine. I am stuck here. I will pay extra." "I'm sorry, ma'am, we cannot take you." So I am there with other people for more than an hour trying to get out of the airport. I finally did. A nice taxi driver said, "I'll charge you the base. It's a small circle. We'll get you there." I did. I had no hotel plans because I'm an adventurer. I ate some food, walked around at 1 a.m. in Nashville airport area to look for a hotel. I did, and I found a great hotel, met some great people who were great guides, and I had a best trip with my best friend, even though it was a day short. Thank you.
Oh, Martha, I felt your pain. We've all had similar experiences, but yours probably was the worst. Okay, that was Martha, and now we're to Nestor. Everybody give Nestor a hand.
So, I'm going to start this off with a quick question. How many of y'all have been to high school? Okay, everyone. How many of y'all grew up as academic warriors? You were on top of it. Okay, a couple left. So, you might not know, and if you do know, I'll still explain it. So, I was in the program called Academic Decathlon, and if you don't know what that is, it's basically where for 1 year, they pick a subject. So, for the year I was captain in, it was the Roaring 20s, and they break it down in curriculums. It'll be arts, political science, math, music, and then like 3 more other things. The way the class works is that the teacher hands you one packet. It's 200 pages, you have 2 weeks to read it, and then at the end of 2 weeks, at a block period for an hour and a half, you are quizzed on 60 questions. So, like I said, the Roaring 20s was my senior year. I had taken this class my junior year. I did terrible in it, by the way, but I decided to stick around because it's an easy period. So, the average test score in that class, with me being the captain, was around 18 out of 60. And the regular kid, I want to say maybe got 5. So, we're not the greatest. But, we have this competition at the end of the year. It is called the Academic Decathlon Test. Creative name, I know. But, for all of the schools that attend, it goes a bunch of random schools, and then a big jump to second place for Lemoore High School. And then the next place, in first place, will be Lemoore Middle College. There's a huge break in between third and second, but from second to first is more than 100K of a jump in the points. But if you don't know, Lemoore Middle College is filled with the nerdiest kids you will ever see. Probably the most antisocial kids you'll ever see, too. They say that their academic decathlon team is basically their jocks on site. And it's true, because every year I've gone, they always show up in a custom cardigan with their team name embroidered on their chest and in the back saying Lemoore Middle College. And us showing up, we have custom ink shirts with our captain's faces on them. So, I didn't study at all for this, and I remember there were several times where I got scolded by my teacher, the fact that I was one of the worst captains ever. But we'll skip over that part. Get to the test. And the way they proctored the test is that there's this huge table, big enough to fit 3 people. And there are 90 kids, or maybe 120. There's maybe 6, 7 schools. And me being that social person I am, I go, "Hi, what's your name?" He says, "Hi, I'm from Hanford West. I'm super cracked out right now. I haven't studied, and I'm also their captain. I hate academic decathlon. It's an easy period." I say, "Great, I hate it too." And I was like, "I hope you do good." He goes, "Yeah." I look to the kid on my right. It's a little more male college kid. I say, "Hey, how are you doing?" And he goes like this. "Good." I'm like, "Oh, I take it you're from Lemoore Middle College. You're probably gonna do pretty great, huh?" And he goes, "Yeah, what school are you from?" I was like, "From Lemoore High School." And he goes, "Good luck." Oh, okay, great. So we're off to a great start. The test starts, and it is 60 questions long, and I am not prepared to get chewed out by my teacher. But there were no people proctoring the test. So I decide to take a little sneak peek on my right side, and I have the clearest view of his Scantron. This happened in 2019. I'm a lot better of a person, but I was a better person. I copied his entire test from top to bottom and changed one question, hoping he would get it wrong and I would get it right. And I thought, hey, what's the worst that can happen? My test score goes up and I don't get chewed out? Come on. So, like 7 more tests, and this is how I knew I got lucky with the Lemoore Middle College kid. There was music questions, and they played it on the worst stereo possible, and you had 30 seconds to listen and then find it out. I will look over and I just see I hear the worst music. I can't even decipher what's going on. And I look over to my right and I see this kid going like this. Happens for the next 20 questions. I just know. I was like, yeah, I am set. I have got the best kid right next to me. So, we get to the speech and then the interview part. I bombed those 2, but we get ready. And my friend says, I was a co-captain with my best friend, Drew. And he goes, "Well, how do you think you did?" I said, "Well, to be honest with you, I cheated." And he goes, "Well, who did you cheat off of? Were you next to a middle college kid?" I was like, "Oh, I was with the middle college kid." And he goes, "Okay, well, we'll see." And the thing about my friend Drew is that he is almost as bad as me at academic decathlon, but he'll put in a last-ditch effort on the day of with flashcards. But, we get to the event. We get to the ceremony, and there's, the 7, 9 schools, and then an auditorium. The back half of me is filled with all parents and kids. And my teacher looks at me and says, "Okay, I really hope we beat Lemoore Middle College in something, anything." And the thing is, my teacher hates Lemoore Middle College. She hates the person who teaches it there too. And they go, "Okay, thank you for coming. We're gonna start with the thing." So for arts, in 3rd place, some kid from middle college. And I was like, all right, whatever. And in 2nd place, with this score of 980. These tests are scored out of 1,000. Whoa, when you spread it out. 980. And I was like, oh shoot, I wonder who did that. Lemoore High School, Nestor Amita. I was like, oh. And my teacher, Miss Brockmine, she gets up, she goes, "Oh my gosh, you've done it! We've never taken a place from them ever! How did you do it?" She goes, "I'm so proud of you." She starts staking me in my seat, and my whole class. I was like, oh no. And then and in 1st place, with the perfect score from Lemoore Middle College, I already forgot his name, but he was like, blah, 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 and he got up like this. Accepted the award, and I thought, okay, I don't think this looks too great on me, considering the fact that I cheated on every single one. So, I get my medal. I try to play it cool. I look back at my class, turn around, and they're all cheering for me. My teacher is so ecstatic to see me take a win. And then she says, all right, for the music category, in 3rd place, some other random kid in 2nd place. Nestor Amita. And then in first place, the same kid who got first place in the last category. And I go get my award. My class is still excited for me, and my best friend looks at me like I'm the dumbest person in the world. My teacher looks at me like this. So great, I got like 7 more categories to go. Yes, it didn't change. Every single one. It was third place, random kid. Second place, me. First kid, the Lemoore Middle College kid. And I am just so stressed out because every time I had to get up, grab my medal, put it on. Now I have 9 medals on me. Turn back, and my teacher is just the most pissed I've ever seen in my life. Whoa. This is a part where my friend really got mad. They said, all right, and now we're going to announce the scholarships. So, in third place, from Lemoore Middle College, with an award of $300, random kid. And now I was so afraid of this moment. And she says, and in second place, for a scholarship of $500, from Lemoore High School is Nestor Amita. Ooh, I got up there. They took my picture and I have the worst smile in my face. Because I know I lied for that whole thing. I get my award, I sit back down, and my friend says, we're going to talk about this later. And first place is the same kid with the most cold dead expression, because he knew he was going to win. And I took $500 from my friend that night, low-key, because when we get the score breakdown, it shows I have a nearly perfect robotics score of 950s and above, except for my speech and interview part. But in next place from my high school was my best friend, who got nearly there from doing honest work. Well, don't worry, don't be too mad at me. After I got my first job, 3 years later, I did end up paying him back. But that night, funny story, my teacher couldn't drive, so me and my friend had a carpooler home. And we get in the car, and my friend is driving, and I feel like there are just laser beams being burned into the back of my skull. And, well, we dropped her off. She said, get out the car. I said, okay, for sure. She said, all right, boys, that was a great day. Nestor, you played a real risky game. But you are so lucky that I just hate them enough that I would never expose you. I hope you learned a great lesson from this, and I hope you pay your friend back for that $500 you owe him. So yeah, that's how I sold $500 to myself.
Nestor, you cheater. Great story, though. Great story. And I know you learned something from it. All right, Amanda. Let's have Amanda up here. Amanda has something special, so let's give her a hand.
How many of you have ever been in a relationship with someone that you really wanted to strangle? None of you? Your relationships have been all perfect, wonderful, roses. Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you the story about the night that I wanted to strangle my husband. We have been married for 16 years now. This happened a couple of years ago. We were living out in Virginia in this beautiful house out in the country, peaceful setting. I had an art studio in the backyard. It was lovely, but at that time we were arguing, we were fighting, we were in our room, and I just couldn't take it anymore. And I thought, if I stand here one more minute with this man, I am going to do something I will regret for the rest of my life. So I looked at him and I said, honey, I'm going to my studio. Leave me alone. So I went out there to my art studio, slammed the door, and I look around, and I'm like, I gotta do something. And I see this piece of cardboard that came out of a box for a TV my dad was bought. I don't even know. Anyways, I grab it, I throw it on the ground, And I just start taking tubes of paint and just squirting it all over this dang thing. I have no idea what I'm doing. And I get on my hands and my knees and I just start smearing paint everywhere. I'm covered in paint. I'm full of rage. I've got an angry playlist of all the feminist rage songs going. And I am in the zone. I have no idea what I'm doing. But slowly, over time, in the minutes and hours that start to pass, I begin to notice a form taking shape on this painting. It wasn't planned, and I had no idea what I was doing. But I kept trusting. Somehow this process is working. I'm feeling a little calmer. I'm feeling a little clearer. And I'm feeling a little less murdery. So I continue to trust this process. I continue to grab new colors, new paints, and start to kind of bring some edges to this figure that I'm seeing on this piece of cardboard. And eventually, this lovely, peaceful, smiling face is looking back at me. And I realized that I had done something pretty magical in that studio that night. I had taken all of my rage and my emotions and I had turned it into something quite peaceful. My little Buddha here. This is Burning Buddha Rests in Peace. Thank you so much. And my recommendation to all of you in your lovely relationships is to make art, not war.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
And he's still alive. Here's
And
proof
he's still
not
alive
dead.
back there. I was wondering if it was him. So. All right. So now we're ready for Michael. Michael just walked up. Everybody, Michael.
Hey everybody, I'm Michael. I'm not really sure what I'm going to say. I don't know, let's just get vulnerable, I guess. What was it, about 21 years ago, some girl messaged me on Yahoo Messenger. And, yeah, we're going to go there. I used to pick up girls on MySpace. I would just like cold message them and be like, what are you into? And then try to, hook up and everything. So, but this one was on me. So we get together and everything, do the thing, and you can kind of guess where this is all going to go here. So all I did then was kind of just go to work at the Palace, drink, and I'd come home and play NHL Rivals 2004 on the Xbox. That's not really important, that was just kind of my life at the time. Just go to work. I was living with my parents, so I would just cash checks and shit and just like stack them at home. I didn't have direct deposit, so I would just do that. And yeah, so she messages me. I know what it's about. She comes over. Don't want anything to do with her. Just do the thing, take off. Along the way, yeah, she's pregnant, and that becomes a thing. And I'm like, I ain't gonna do that. That's her. That ain't me. That's not what I'm about. So I do what any reasonable person would do, and I just ghost her and ignore her because I'm not gonna handle that. That's not what I'm gonna do because I'm more important than anything that's going on with them. So that works for a little while. I'm like, I think I'm hosting now because it works for a bit. And then I end up moving out of my parents' house, so I'm good, doing everything. Still spinning the wheels, playing my video games, drinking, working. And then, oh man, then some paperwork comes to my parents' house, and yeah, she's trying to establish paternity after she has the kid. It's like as time passes, and she's like, cool, like I'm doing me, she's doing her, and damn, now my parents know, and it's like, I got to deal with this now. I got to go over there and tell them that I'm not having anything to do with this person because I don't want to do that, because I'm doing what I want to do, and I'm not doing what other people want to do. So I have that conversation with my parents, and, it breaks their heart and everything, but, like, I wasn't going to change, so. what happens next. So I think along the way she didn't want to do child support for some reason. So no, I made a deal with her. I think it was like $300 a month for like 6 months, and she leaves me alone until the end of time. I think we put that in writing because I was delusional. So yeah, that all happened, and I stayed the same. I moved on with my life. I met my wife. Well, dang it, now I gotta tell her, and then I promised my wife that this will never be a problem, I guarantee you. Because I'm delusional still. So yeah, then she comes at me with official child support stuff, and I'm like, oh man, I don't get to control my life anymore. I'm in the find out phase of effing around and all that. So, well, we end up kind of settling out of court, so it's cool and everything, and then I'm I end up cleaning my life up, quit drinking after I somehow don't blow up my whole family after having another child. So I'm man, I gotta fix all of this. So I messaged her after being I stopped drinking and everything, and I'm just gonna try to show up for myself in the best way I can. And I know I messed everything up, and that's all I can do is choose differently from this point on, and not do what my dad did to me to break this generational trauma and all of that. So that's just kind of what fuels my day-to-day life, is taking super good care of myself so I can hopefully live forever, so I can give that child a chance to just answer any questions in person, or just, I already wrote him a letter and everything, just telling him that I'm the bad guy in my story is all it is. I did those things, did that, wrote him a letter, and then it's just kind of chips fall where they may now. I'm sure I left out some stuff along the way because I didn't really plan this or reverse it or anything, but yeah, I've changed quite a bit, and I learned empathy and my openness and vulnerability, and just, accountability and telling the truth and coming clean and all those hard things. So I'm just trying to, be that person. So that's what's on my heart, and thank you all.
So welcome to AA. No, I just teasing. All right. Oh, now we got a special guest named Malcolm. So Malcolm, I think you're about this size right here. Come on up. I'm so right. Sorry about that.
So this story takes place at my school. So what happens is, one time I'm playing with my friends, we're having fun. I'm just playing with my friends. We're playing some, I forget what type of game we were playing, even anything. And we saw something in the dirt sticking out. It was only this bit of that, just sticking out. But it looked a little like a crystal. The only part that was sticking out. So me and my friends dug it up. We dug it up. I was so excited. It looked like a shell. It was this. It was as big as my palm when we actually dug it all up. It looked like a shell. It almost looked like a shell, like a crystallized shell or something. And just to tell you, before I tell you anything else, the edges are as round as the edges of the microphone right here. And then I go to a yard duty, which is kind of just monitoring us. Because I'm so excited that I found this cool new discovery in the ground that me and my friends just dug up. I I open my palm to show her it. And then she says, "Hey, that thing's sharp." And takes it. And I'm like walking away crying. Because I just found like a like crystal fossil from the ground. And she's just like, "No, give me it, sharp." When the edges are literally as round as the microphone. It can't hurt you. It's not like we're 2-year-olds. We're not gonna eat it. And then I'm like walking away crying. My friends try to comfort me, and wow, that was just one moment of my life. Thanks.
You got a title, One Moment in My Life. That should be your title. Okay, we are going to ask Maricela to come up. She's one of Hanford's poets. So we're going to grab her. Maricela, give her a hand. Yeah, it was worse before when we had him down there. So.
Well, I'm Maricela, and I wrote some notes down for myself. I'm not sure why, because I forgot my glasses. So we'll just see what comes out. Yeah. So I wish I could change names to protect the innocent, but well, you'll see. So my son was a while back. He was about in 3rd grade, and one day he comes home and he says, "Mom, we have a new girl in school." I said, "Oh yeah?" He goes, "Yeah, her name is Damaris Guerrero Garcia." I go, "Wow, that's a mouthful." And he goes, "Yeah, she's really cool." I go, "Great, okay." So little did I know how our lives were going to be impacted by Damaris Guerrero Garcia for months and months. So he starts coming home every day with a story. Damaris Guerrero Garcia, she is really good at math, almost as good as I am. Okay? That's a high compliment for my son, if you know her. He comes home and he says, "Damaris Guerrero Garcia doesn't play dolls. She plays marbles, and she's good." So I keep hearing these stories, Damaris Guerrero Garcia, Damaris Guerrero Garcia. And I was a substitute teacher in his school, and I thought, well, I have to sub his class so I could meet this wonderful unicorn, absolute wonderful girl. That has captured my son. So I sub her class, and he points her out, of course. This is Damaris Guerrero Garcia. And she's a cute little girl, as most little girls are, and, great. But it goes on for months. Like, one time his dad says, "Oh, I don't like Guerrero tortillas anymore because they're really stiff." And my son says, "Dad said he doesn't like Guerrero tortillas, and that's insulting, because my best friend is Damaris Guerrero Garcia." It was the early aughts. There was, Fergie was popular at the time with a song called Glamorous. Well, you know what glamorous rhymes with? Damaris. So he would play that over and over and over again and sing Damaris, Damaris. I never even noticed when it tapered off. But suddenly he wasn't mentioning her anymore. And one day I went to pick him up after school, he was in the after school program. And as I'm sitting there waiting for him, I noticed Damaris Guerrero Garcia walking down the street with another little boy. And when my son gets in the car, I say, "Hey, isn't that Damaris walking down the street with Fabian?" He goes, "Oh yeah." I go, "Oh, how do you feel about that?" "Why should I?" He takes her every day to buy her hot Cheetos. And I said, "Oh, so you have feelings about that?" He goes, "Why should I care if she gets cholesterol?" And it took everything in me, all my mom power, to not burst out laughing. Because I'm a good mom. I thought that was the end of Damaris Guerrero Garcia, but a few years later, when they're all in 8th grade, I'm subbing, and this little boy comes up, well, not a little boy, they're in 8th grade, but to me, they're all little boys. But this little boy comes up and he says, "Teacher, guess who my girlfriend is?" I said, "I don't know." And he says, "Well, her name rhymes with glamorous." I go, "Oh God, no." And then, so all day long, he tells me how wonderful Damaris is. She's so wonderful. She's his girlfriend. He loves her so much. I said, "You know, I don't want to hear that name again. We are doing fractions." I said, "I don't want to hear her name again. If you say that name one more time, you're going to have to write it 100 times for homework." He goes, "Oh, okay." Well, it slips out 5 minutes later. I said, "What did I tell you?" "Yeah, you're right, you're right." So I happened to sub that same class the next day. He comes in and he goes, "Oh, teacher," I had forgotten about it, right? Sometimes I netted out punishments without really caring if they were going to follow through. So the next day he comes in and he has a paper covered in Damaris Guerrero Garcia. He says, "Teacher, you said 100 times, but I kind of went over. I did it 150 times." So my son went to another high school. I never heard about Damaris Guerrero Garcia again, although I heard through the grapevine that she joined the military. And sometimes I just think about her, and I hope that wherever she is, she's leading some troop that has the same devotion and
Good one.
inspiration that she was able to give these boys in her elementary school. She was something. She was something.
Right. That was Maricela. Good job, Maricela. I like how you brought that, at the end. That was very, very good. Okay, our last person is Megan. And Megan is also a poet. So it's nice to hear that storytellers and poets and come up here and we get to know them. All right, go ahead.
Poet, artist. I did a bit of storytelling back in high school. It's been a while since I've done any storytelling, but this one's called The Unforgettable Night, because it's a night I'll never forget. But this night happened last year, but I'm going to go back 2 years. I'm going to start this off 2 years ago. So something I like to do for fun is I like to go to concerts, I like to go to shows, I like to check out new bands. That's just something I love doing. I found out one of my favorite bands from like 20 years ago was coming to Fresno, so I was like, oh, I gotta see him. So I get there, and the opening band starts playing. The opening band is called Prison Bitch, but I had never heard of them before, but I was just so captivated. I love when I go see a show and I'm going for a band specifically, but the opening band or another band that's playing with them just like catches my heart, and as soon as I leave the show, I just have them on repeat. Like, I like them so much better than the band that I went there to see. So I listen to them, and then I found out last year they were coming back to play at the same venue that they had played at, but this time they weren't opening for someone, they were the headliners, so they were headlining another show. So I was like, oh, I have to go to this. I hit up a friend of mine, I'm like, we gotta go see this band, you're gonna love this band, let's go see them. We get there, the opening band's cool, I end up becoming friends with them. But yeah, the Prison Bitch gets on stage, everybody's just kind of standing back, and I'm like, no, I gotta get up front, this band's awesome, I'm so excited for this. They start playing, people are getting into it, they're like, oh yeah, everybody come up front. So the crowd starts coming in, everybody's kind of swarming the stage, people are realizing like, yeah, this is actually like a really great band, Partially through their set, they start playing, they're playing for a while, and the lead guitarist gets off the stage, she takes her guitar off, and she goes to hand it to my friend. And my friend's like, no, I never touched an instrument in my life. And she starts pointing to me. And I play a little bit of instrument, so it was cool. She hands it to me, and I'm like, all right, let's do it. She puts it over me, and they're jamming, and I'm pretty good at like picking up and jamming, but it'll take me a little bit. But for some reason, like the first note I hit, it just sounded so good with what they were playing. And I just sat there and I soloed. I was in the crowd just soloing, the crowd's going nuts. Like the photographer that's taking pictures of the band turns and starts taking pictures of me. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. They're all on stage rocking out. I'm like rocking out with them. She gets down, I hand the guitar back to her, she gives me a hug, gets back on stage, finishes off the song. People are like cheering for me.
After the show, I go up to the merch booth to buy some merch, and the person at the merch booth is like, that's never happened before. She does that at every show. She'll hand somebody the guitar, but they usually just strum it and they don't know what to do, and they'll just hand it right back to her. That's the first time somebody like actually was like jamming with us, so that was really cool. I was like, oh, this is awesome. I was leaving, this guy's like, hey, were you with a band? Was that staged? I was like, no, like I just came to the show. He's like, that was amazing. He's like, I got a video, I'm gonna send it to you. So we exchanged socials. He sends me the video. I'm like, all right, we're out in Fresno. I gotta get back to Hanford. I live in Hanford. It's gonna be a long drive home. This was an incredible night, like once in a lifetime experience. Like you like have dreams of something like that happening, but you never think it's actually gonna happen. So I'm like, that's so cool. So we're walking back out to my van. We parked down the street a little ways, but I noticed that there's police lights kind of near where I'm parked, where my van's parked. And I'm like, oh, there's so many cops over there. Like, how am I gonna be able to get back out and like leave now with all these cops over here? Somebody must have got pulled over. As we get closer, I realize there's a car crash. The car is crashed into the side of my van that's parked in this parking spot. So I get out there, there's also another car across the street, like a red hatchback that's totally just smashed in. The cops are there on the scene. They're like, oh, is this your vehicle? I'm like, this is my van. Like, what happened? They're like, oh, there was a drunk driver. We were pursuing him from down the street. He tried getting away. He ended up swerving and hitting the car across the street, and then his car came and hit your car, and then he saw us and he got out and he tried running, but we were able to catch him. So they caught this guy, the tow truck came, pulled his car like out of my car, like it was like just smashed into that driver's side door, like, and it happened like 5 minutes before I came out of the venue. So like if I had just come out of the venue and was just chilling in my car, like talking about the night with my friend, like I probably would have been doing, like that could have just smashed into like me and my friend, you know? So we had to get my car towed out of there, my van towed out of there. That van was totaled. We were unsure if he was gonna have insurance. Luckily he did. It was enough to get me a new van. So yeah, that was a night I will never forget.
Wow, the worst and the best night, I guess, you know. Anyway, okay, so we're ready to collect your first, second, and third choices. We'll walk around and pick it up, and maybe we can put some music on, and we'll give us 5 minutes, and we'll announce, you know, the night's storyteller. Maybe if we do this frequently, we can say, you know, storyteller of the month, and put your picture of you and put your name on a thing, and we'll just keep on going. So, you want to help me collect?
Actually, I was gonna have really short stories.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait a minute. Oh, no, okay, come on up. Come on up. We have one more story. Okay. Okay. So, and it's Rowan.
At the very bottom.
All right, go for it. Okay.
That's the thing about my story is that I actually had no plan to do it. I came here to help, and
it should be on. Yeah.
Put your mouth on the
I actually don't want to do that. I can speak loud.
Yeah, it's a small place. We still hear you.
So I came here just to help out because I love helping Sylvia. But once Nestor started telling his story, I thought this is almost fate, and that would make my story the story. So I decided once Nestor mentioned that Lemoore Middle College random kid, I thought I am the Lemoore Middle College random. I wasn't the kid. I wasn't the kid he was mentioning, but God, it was just fate. I thought I went to that school. When he mentioned it, I was like, how many people in Hanford know of that school? It is such a small little college, high school. It's a dual enrollment. So you do high school and college at the same time. And honestly, I've never even met someone else who has been in academic decathlon. So it turns out he has been in academic decathlon. And so my sophomore-ish year, one of my teachers came up to me and asked me, do you want to be in our academic team? That's what it's short, like the little short name, whatever. And I was like, am I even smart enough to be on that team? Because honestly, it takes so much effort to be on an academic team. You are, like he mentioned, you have to be on top of your game constantly. It is full of constant studying, and you have to be, like, again, on top of your game. And I was not that person. I was so not motivated. But when they invited me, I was like, I kind of have to now. Because why out of all people did you come to me and say, be on Academic? And I was like, all right, I guess I will. And so I did my best to try to keep up. And turns out I found out a lot about my academic willingness. I was not academically inclined until I devoted myself to Academic. And then COVID happened. So I actually did not get to do the competition. Turns out I was actually in Academic a few years after Nestor was. So turns out I was not going to be able to do the same cool stuff that he did. But once he mentioned the little more middle college kid, it just kind of brought everything back to me and reminded me of the exact same, pretty much all of the same stuff kind of came back to me. And so I miss that team, and I'm glad that I was able to be on there and do some studying, but also pretty upset that I was never actually able to go out and do the testing. Though, thinking of what Nestor did, I am certain I would do the exact same.
Okay, we're gonna collect. We're gonna collect and give us 5. I like the mic. Give us 5 minutes to pick the story slam, and you can pick yourself. You can pick yourself. I'm good with that. So let me get this from you, and let me get this from you, and then this looks good. This looks good. Okay, you got it. Got it. We got some more back here. All right.
That's why we lost track of that model. My son.
Oh, you got it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. You could put on the music. Oh, oh, somebody. Oh, so I thought somebody tipped me. What's that? We got to get the donation. That's good. Okay. All righty. Okay. You can put on a little music. I'm gonna do it right here so you can see that I'm not cheating like Nestor. I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing.
I'm gonna press the button till I get it to go.
Okay. So let me see.
Those are fabulous shoes.
Oh, thank you. Are you talking about me? Yeah. Okay, let me go get the prize. Give me 1 second. So what we have is this necklace with a hand holding a microphone. Looks like this, except a mini version. And so we don't really pick a second or third, but if you did good, you got it. You got second or third, you know. So you're good. And it looks like the winner's Nestor. And now you get another. Oh, there you go. Now you get another.
Who knew cheating could get me this far?
Yeah. And this one you really won. No.
Send it to you, even window.
All right. Thank you very much for coming. It turned out to be successful, so we're very happy about that. So we should do Story Slam again.
All right, yeah.
I really like the multi-generational little kids. bigger
Okay,
people,
we'll see
so
it.
that's really fun, very fun. I do want to tell you that we are going to have whatever my open mic. It's a new thing for us too. It's Megan will be helping to host it, and it's June.
June 6th.
June.
June 6th, the first Friday in June.
The first Friday, June 6th, here. If you want to do stand-up comedy, you want to do poetry, you want to play an instrument, if you want to show art, it's whatever. That's what we call it. Whatever open mic, and it's right here. And you know, it's free. You can come in, and we'll probably sell beer or wine or something like that. But consider it a donation, whatever you pay. So thank you again for coming, and we're glad this was a success. Yeah, thank you.
Found the problem. We are not on. The mic is not on.
When you were like,
I was tweaking when you were telling me where I was like, wait a second.
when you were like, before middle block, I was like,
I was gonna like talk about how but he like shares those problems.
I was gonna say, I was like, I don't know. Yeah, it's from my hated Mr. Tom.
That's because he's free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.